Alright, so I've been learning some friggin' sweet stuff about pirates. So I love pirates. I've always thought pirates are cool. And having served in the Navy and just being an old soul, loving nautical stuff and learning sea shanties I can sing to my kids at night before bed. I just love nautical stuff and sailor stuff from back in what I think is like the golden age of sailing and things, right? Which is basically anything prior to now. But anyway, I digress. So, talking about freaking pirates, man. I have been studying a book that was written, I believe, in 1724 by Captain John... Crap. Can't remember his name. Well, I'll come back to that. But, this guy, he lived during the golden age of piracy. 1724 was right towards the tail end of it. So it was while things were happening, while people actually were alive. All the people you've heard about, Blackbeard, Stede Bonnet, and Bonny, Calico Jack, Black Bart, Black Sam, like, dude, all of them. Literally all the pirate stuff you've ever heard. Pretty much anything that we know about it comes from this dude's book, The General History of the Pirates, Pyrates. And it's freaking fascinating. And it's so cool because this guy was literally interviewing people who served on crews with these notorious pirates, and it's absolutely amazing. So, one thing that blew my mind, especially I've been about 45,000 nautical miles at sea, lived at sea for over a year cumulatively. The longest stint I had between port, so not having seen shore, was about 80 days. Been across the Pacific, all up and down Asia, Indian Ocean, Arabian Gulf, Persian Gulf, Mediterranean, and up near Alaska. And dude, this one thing blows me away. When we think pirates, most people nowadays think like Pirates of the Caribbean, Captain Jack Sparrow, and it's all like Caribbean stuff. One of my first duty stations was Charleston, South Carolina, and that is like super pirate central. But I didn't realize how pirate central it was at the time, even though there's a lot of cool stuff. Even though I toured, prison dungeons where they said pirates were held, stuff like that, until I read this book, The General History of the Pirates, and learned, holy crap, Charleston, South Carolina, or Charlestown, as it was called back then, was literally, for all intents and purposes, the hub of the anti-pirate movement, so to speak. That's where all the trials basically were held. That's where most of the dudes were hanged. I spent a ton of time in they call it Battery Park now, but right by Rainbow Row in downtown Old Charleston. That's where they hanged a bunch of freaking pirates all the time. And like, I spent time there with my little 18-month-old son, like walking around looking at the super cool trees. So anyway, Charleston, South Carolina was where basically everything disseminated from. The quote-unquote act of grace, from the British king to try to get all the pirates to stop being pirates, and to turn to privateering or just stop being at sea. That came basically out from South Carolina to all the different places within the Caribbean and stuff like that. And not far away in the Bahamas, we have the island of Providence, which is basically Pirate Island. You want to talk about Pirates of the Caribbean, and where I think it's the third or fourth one, there's like Shipwreck Cove, and that's where all the pirates go, and the Royal Navy has no idea where it's at. Providence Island in the Bahamas was basically Shipwreck Cove, was basically Pirate Island. And that is so freaking cool to think of. Like, I want to go to the Bahamas so bad now, not just for the beaches and all that cool stuff, but because of the fact that was like Mecca for pirates. So anyway, but what I'm getting at, this is blowing me away, is we think of Caribbean, we think of up and down the Atlantic coast of America, or what was the colonies at that time, of the British colonies. And then, there's Spain and, all those guys doing stuff up and down the Americas. But you read this book and you find out that these pirates got around. Like, hey, we need more oranges. We are going to sail from the Atlantic east coast of the British colonies of America all the way to South America just to get some freaking oranges. Or, hey, we got a sweet plunder, or we need to lay low for a while. We're going to go all the way to Madagascar. Yeah, like the freaking island off the southeast coast of Africa. These dudes were having run-ins with the Indian Navy from India. And so, having sailed the seas, I'm like, dude, the fact that during that time in sailing ships, just at the mercy of the wind, these guys were so badass and so skilled as sailors and so freaking brave, really, that they would go from the Caribbean all the way to Madagascar, all the way up into the Indian Ocean. And there's probably more even than that. The book so far hasn't talked a ton about Asia much, but I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't go up in there. Hasn't talked a whole ton about going up close to Northern Europe and Britain, but probably, I mean, maybe it's because the Navy was that's like Navy headquarters, so they probably didn't want to. But anyway, that's just mind-blowing. So if there's anything that you take away from this, it's freaking, those guys got around, and that's freaking cool. They went all over the world, which is absolutely fascinating. So definitely recommend that book. I'll probably have a ton more videos about specific characters within the book, but just that one plug. It's hard to fathom, if you've never been at sea, how impressive and awe-inspiring it is that those guys went that far on a regular basis around the world. Pretty freaking cool. So, say what you will, think what you will about pirates, villains, heroes, blown up romantic freaking movie stars, somewhere in between. Regardless, you got to think that game recognizes game thing, and those guys were definitely skilled, definitely had big old cajones, and they traveled all over the world, and that's freaking cool. So yeah, go check that book out, The General History of the Pirates. Sorry, I can't remember his name. I'll do another plug talking about his name later. Okay, I just remembered. The author of the General History of the Pirates was Captain Charles Johnson. But there's also books that say Daniel Defoe. There's some debate about like things might be the same freaking person, whatever. But if you're looking for the book, look for those two author names, and it's essentially the same thing. Freaking cool. Wow, my bad. I do commercial cleaning at night, and so it's like 4:15 in the morning, and I'm in between places to clean. But yeah, I just wanted to share. It's so cool. Love Pyrates. Love that book, and can't wait to finish it. I've listened to it on Audible, and I've bought the book, but both are just freaking cool. So you should check it out.